Welcome back, true believers and spectacular Spidey fans, to another Spider-Man PS4 101 episode. And in this episode, we are going to break down all of the Easter eggs that were shown off in the 2017 Paris Games Week story trailer that Insomniac Games did release for Spider-Man PS4. And you may think that the obvious ones are very obvious, specifically all the ones in Peter Parker's apartment. There's lots of Easter eggs in that specific shot. However, if you did read the article that was given off by PlayStation and watch a recent interview with James Stevenson, who is the community director at Insomniac Games working on Spider-Man PS4, there is a lot of really interesting and exciting Easter eggs that can be found out throughout the entire trailer. And this is yet again another awesome collaboration, and here I am again with the one and only Cable Sam. You might remember him from the other video where we speculated on Peter Parker gameplay, and the fact that now we actually do get to see what the Peter Parker gameplay looks like in the game is just very cool. But I'm going to first talk to Cable Sam, and then I'm going to move on to tons of other awesome individuals. So introduce yourself, Cable Sam.
Hello again, everyone. My name is Cable Sam. Well, you know me from the other video. I'm a bit disappointed on the fact that the free roaming of Peter Parker may be not available in this game. I don't know, we just wait to see.
I totally agree. Just like Cable Sam said, if you did see my previous video, which I will leave in the description, from the article that was given the information of Spider-Man PS4's Peter Parker gameplay, it doesn't sound like we are going to be able to free roam as Peter Parker, which is the feature that we all were hoping for, and given the article, it doesn't feel like that we're going to get that. Still, what we did see from the Peter Parker gameplay looks very, very exciting. Specifically, this one shot that we see in the story trailer where we get the reveal of Aunt May. Now, of course, Aunt May looks very nice in this game. She will, in fact, have a role in the story, but that's not the main Easter egg that we are talking about. The main Easter egg is the banner in the actual background of this one shot, where it says, "Thank you for 5 years of service." And of course, right here in this whole area, Peter Parker and Aunt May are inside a feast shelter in New York City, and the specific timeline right here of 5 years of service. Now, the thing is, this game is going to release in 2018. From what we see later on, which I will save for another Easter egg, is a specific timeline in when Peter is shown off to be 15 years old, which I will again talk about later in the video. Here, since it says 5 years of service, I'm assuming this specific banner is trying to indicate the timeline in which the first feast shelter was introduced in New York City 5 years ago. So for this timeline, it would be 2018 when the game releases. 5 years ago would be 2013, and that's when I'm assuming the first feast shelter was instated in New York City. What are your thoughts on this, Cable Sam?
To be honest, I was thinking about Spider-Man, okay? He's been Spider-Man for 8 years. Got started in 2010 until 2013. It's been 5 years until 2018. Maybe there's a new game. Very interesting to me.
Absolutely, and just like Cable Sam said, with the rise of the inner demons trying to take out all the territories so that Mr. Negative can reign supreme in New York City, maybe since in these 5 years, we also see in the trailer, we see thugs that aren't inner demons. We see standard thugs like mercenaries or just thugs robbing that truck, and with the rise of all these gangs, maybe within that 5-year time gap of when the feast shelter was instated, maybe crime actually increased instead of decreasing. We have no idea, but the fact that we do get a specific timeline of the feast shelter in this one shot is very, very interesting. So moving on to the next person, everybody, is the one and only It's Your Boy. Fellow Spidey Squad member It's Your Boy. Follow him on Twitter and subscribe to his YouTube channel. He's extremely awesome. He's a hardcore Spider-Man fan, and of course, just like all the other Spidey Squad members, he's super excited about Spider-Man PS4, and specifically in this story trailer that we got from Paris Games Week, we have a really couple cool Easter eggs to discuss over in regards to Peter Parker and Miles Morales. So introduce yourself, dude.
Hi, I guess. How are you guys? Good? That's good.
Definitely well said, It's Your Boy. So now to continue with this whole discussion is actually Peter Parker's bracelets, or what appear to be his web shooters. Now again, we know that Peter Parker gameplay is confirmed. However, we do not know the full extent of it, but what the article seemed to say in the last video that I did on my channel, it sounds like free roaming Peter Parker gameplay is not going to happen. However, what really intrigues me though is what looks like on Peter's wrists is that he looks like to be wearing web shooters. Even though we don't see the triggers on his hands or anything, maybe there's a mechanism that can activate it to turn into a complete web shooter. And again, maybe if there is a scenario where you can play as Peter Parker, what we see here in the feast shelter, and what we also see later on in the trailer where Peter Parker's spider sense is going nuts, maybe there will be a sequence where you have to try and save people as Peter Parker and maybe you'll have to use your Spider-Man powers in secret, and maybe you have to use your web shooters to try and save people from danger while no one is noticing Peter do something like that. So I think that would offer a really cool, unique variety of gameplay between playing as Spider-Man and Peter in these certain sequences in the game. What are your thoughts on this, It's Your Boy?
After rewatching Spider-Man Homecoming, I thought, like, what would be cooler instead of having web shooters is like little spider tracer shooters. You know?
Definitely. Just like It's Your Boy said in Spider-Man Homecoming, Tom Holland's Spider-Man had the ability to shoot out spider tracer drone robots. And in the movie, Spider-Man actually had to try and trace the bad guys' headquarters and try and find their secret base. So hopefully, if there is something like that, what looks like to be some sort of alarm system maybe, since it's so small and very unnoticeable to look like a web shooter, maybe if he presses it, maybe it will kind of send off a spider tracer signal in which he can try and locate some enemies that he planted spider tracer on in the game. Because again, even though we don't know spider tracers will be in the game, Insomniac have said that there will be tons of gadgets that you can in fact use in the story and during other gameplay aspects in the main game, so we're just really excited to see where this goes. And continuing our discussion with It's Your Boy, everybody, we're now going to talk to the one specific shot in regards to Peter Parker and Miles Morales standing side by side next to each other, talking to Aunt May in the feed shelter, and it's just a little small Easter egg, but still very important regardless. So, at D23, we saw Brian Intihar walk out on stage with a t-shirt showing off Peter Parker's college, Empire State University. And here, we actually get to see what Miles' educational facility is that he attends, most likely, is Midtown High, since he is wearing a Midtown High School shirt, and it just looks really cool. And it's also really interesting to see maybe if Peter Parker knows Miles already at this point in the game, maybe we will know if it is because of their school. And again, we don't know if we can actually maybe explore Empire State University as Peter Parker, or maybe if we can play as Miles, maybe we'll be able to walk around the high school as Miles Morales. Since Peter Parker can walk around the Fee Shelter, if we can explore the high school that Miles is attending currently, which it seems like he is in fact attending high school still, but Peter has already graduated college, so maybe we won't actually get to free roam the college as Peter Parker, just walk around the university campus as Peter Parker. We don't know, but if Miles looks like to be still in high school, maybe that will in fact have some reference to the main story, because again, in the recent Insomniac Games recruitment video, we see this mocap scene about Miles Morales defending someone, and we don't know what that is, so maybe that does in fact have to relate to the high school aspect of Miles Morales, and also Genki, his best friend Genki, attending that school. And it's just a really interesting Easter egg overall. What are your thoughts on this, It's Your Boy?
Well, I think that, like, maybe, like, Peter and Miles know each other from, like, Peter tutoring Miles or something. Like, that'd be an interesting arc. Like, they already know each other, and, like, Miles wanted to help out.
Definitely, and just to bring up what Brian Intihar has said about Miles Morales in the game, this version of Miles Morales will showcase another side of Peter Parker that we've never seen before. And again, with this kind of teacher-student relationship that they seem to be having, and just like It's Your Boy brought up, maybe Peter Parker is tutoring Miles both in regards of how the Fee Shelter works and also maybe in school as well. That could be very interesting and kind of showcase both another side of Peter and Miles at the same time, and I think that would be very, very cool to see be played out in the game.
And it would also make, like, a lot of sense because Peter has tutored a lot of people in the past. Well, he's tutored, like, a few people, but, you know, point still stands, is still valid. And if not, like, maybe as, like, a substitute teacher or something, although that does seem far-fetched, but anything's possible.
Definitely agree with It's Your Boy. Everything and anything is definitely possible in this game. The expectations and speculations are limitless with the possibilities that could happen with Peter Parker gameplay and possible Miles Morales gameplay, and the fact that we do see a lot of interesting things in regards to Peter Parker's web shooters / bracelets and Miles Morales in fact attending Midtown High School is very, very exciting.
Maybe, like, they'll do this whole, maybe Miles already has his powers, and instead of just killing Peter off, like, Peter's like, alright, I'm gonna teach you how to superhero write, because you suck at it, as like a superhero mentor-mentee type thing. Like, I think that'd be a really interesting, like, side thing, like, not for, like, the main story, but on, like, a side mission type thing. That would bring, like, a lot of variety to, like, their, like, friendship and bond. Extremely
well said, It's Your Boy. That would offer a really unique plot point in the story in regards to seeing how we can, in fact, play as Mary Jane Watson, and now, in fact, that we know that Peter Parker gameplay is in the game in a very interesting way, and if we do get a really interesting story aspect with Miles Morales and having the audience really do care about these characters and how that could affect and impact them in the final story of the game, will Peter die? Will Miles become Spider-Man? Is Miles already bitten by the own spider that turns himself into Spider-Man? We have no idea, but like, once again, just like It's Your Boy said, the possibilities are endless.
Plus, like, if Peter does die, let's say at like the beginning of the sequel, because let's be honest, the game's gonna be great, there's obviously gonna be a sequel. Like, if Peter dies in the sequel, it'll really impact us, like, even more so, because Miles and Peter would have, like, gotten such a close bond that, like, it would start off as like a vengeance quest, you know, like, you killed my friend, my mentor, you're gonna pay. Like, it would offer a lot of emotion right off the bat, even at like the end of the game, the first game, knowing like he could die at any moment, or vice versa.
Exactly. That would offer a lot of stakes to the story and make the ending that much more impactful to the audience and players experiencing this game.
Plus, like, there's not a lot of serious Spider-Man video games besides Web of Shadows, which was great. So having like a very like serious, sad moment in a game would be like really like out there.
Definitely, just like the scene where we saw the entire Norman Osborn press conference exploding all over the place. Everyone is running for their lives, people are dying, and that offers a lot of tension going on with this story. And again, if Miles Morales does in fact have a big role in this game, maybe he will in fact be in danger and Peter Parker has to save him at some point in the game, which again would offer a lot of unique standpoints within each unique person's character arcs and story arcs in this game.
Even if it's not like a main quest, maybe it's a side quest that you have to complete or like get at least 50% through or so, to like progress to the story, kind of like what they did in Assassin's Creed Origins. Sorry for spoilers of side missions. Not only is Peter's and Spidey's world colliding, but Spider-Man and Spider-Man's story worlds are colliding, if you know what I mean. Like not clone, screw clones, but like Peter Spider-Man like really getting a close bond and then teaming up for like, let's say, the final act, like one of them being wounded, so like they have to stay behind or something.
Absolutely, that would offer a really unique story point in the game that we've never seen before, and given Insomniac Games' writing team, I can definitely see that they could definitely pull something like that off if they wanted to. I think we are coming close to the end of this one particular Easter eggs in the game, so any last thoughts, It's Your Boy?
I need more of this game. I need more. I just need more. Hopefully, like, there's more Easter eggs, even in, like, the live stream Insomniac is doing. Sadly, I won't watch because of school, but, like, maybe they'll throw in, like, little Easter eggs with what they're saying, which can be, like, brought up into another video that hopefully you and I can collaborate again with on it.
Absolutely, It's Your Boy. Hopefully we can collaborate in the future. And just like It's Your Boy brought up, stay tuned, please stay tuned for Insomniac Games live stream on November 3rd at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And they will be answering your questions that you have for the game, and also just rewinding the trailer and going over it and them breaking it down themselves so we can get their insights to what it is. And I'm really looking forward to it, and so is It's Your Boy. So the next guest that I'm talking to, everybody, is the one and only Agent Spider, and he has been with the Spider-Man PS4 community for quite some time. He's super excited for the game, just like we all are, and we are here going to talk about the Daily Bugle newspaper clipping that is posted on the Fee Shelter wall. So introduce yourself, dude.
Hey guys.
So the first main part in this newspaper is actually the Wilson Fisk section on the top left-hand corner, which says, Fisk Financials, how much is Wilson worth? Page 5. And clearly what we saw in the trailer, Wilson Fisk gets arrested by the police force, and then in the 2017 demo, we see Fisk already in prison, and clearly, Wilson Fisk is a very wealthy man, and with that much wealth, maybe he can corrupt a few minds, or hire a lot of personal bodyguards to try and keep him on his toes and keep the police off his back, and we will just see what is actually included within the main story in regards to that little specific tidbit of information about Wilson Fisk in the game.
About that thing that Spider-Man Spider-Man is, I think this thing is from J. Jonah Jameson. I think that he is going to hate Spider-Man like in every comics and every movies. He hates the Spider-Man.
The next piece of information that we see in this one little newspaper clipping is actually the date in which it was released, which, funny enough, says Monday, October 30th, which is the same day that this Paris Games Week trailer was in fact released by Insomniac Games, and that's just very cool that they tied it in together with a small little piece of news showing in that of the Daily Bugle newspaper.
So it's a reference to the Shocker when we saw him in the trailer, when we tied him in the bank. And this scene with newspapers, I think, must be after we find Shocker in the bank, because it says appeals conviction. So he's going to be behind bars. I don't really know who is going to be the Shocker. Maybe it's Montana or Hammond Schmidt, like this. Spider-Man Homecoming.
Nicely said, Agent Spider, and just like he said, that one little part in the newspaper saying Shocker appeals for conviction indicates that this sequence, or this shot at least, is actually after the Shocker fight that we see in the trailer of Spider-Man actually fighting Shocker in the bank, which seems to be a really interesting thing in regards to when this shot actually takes place within the timeline of this game. And the next part of this newspaper clipping is actually something very small in regards to what is actually happening for New York City. Is taxi strike over, so that's really funny because, you know, Uber is the main transport delivery service nowadays, and with the taxi strike being over, I guess maybe New York taxi cab drivers are just kind of full of it, which is really, really funny. And just kind of to go over the last part, which I will have Agent Spider talk about after, is that the mayor approval ratings are soaring. And again, Mayor Norman Osborn is trying to re-elect himself as mayor, and apparently he's doing really well in the polls. So that's really interesting to see, and I wonder if we can actually see in the game's story how his campaign is going to run and what he can actually do to try and make people vote for him in the story of the game. So what are your thoughts on this, Agent Spider?
My thoughts are pretty like yours. So Norman Osborn has an opportunity to get to the mayor of New York. Maybe his bad side, Green Goblin, wants to take over the whole New York City, and maybe Goblin is the main villain of the game.
Definitely well said, Agent Spider. I couldn't have put it better myself. And again, with the possibility of Norman Osborn actually doing really good in the polls, maybe this will in fact actually tie in somehow to Norman Osborn maybe turning into the Green Goblin in the final battle of the game, if he in fact is the main villain, and I can't wait to see what actually happens with his character in the story of this game. Now moving on to the next guest, everybody, is the one and only Darius Harris, and he is just as an awesome Spider-Man fan as you can get. He's super excited for this game and just every Spider-Man content that we can ever get in the future, and he is on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, so definitely go follow him on all those platforms. He's a super awesome guy, and we are here talking about something very, very exciting in regards to the bigger scope of this Spider-Man PS4 universe. So, again, it is not confirmed or denied yet that there are other superheroes within Spider-Man PS4. That also goes with the Avengers project being made by Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics. We have no idea if the Avengers project and Spider-Man PS4 are connected in the same universe. However, in an interview recently, James Stevenson, the community director at Insomniac Games, was talking to someone from PlayStation and was saying that there are tons of Easter eggs that you can find throughout this main trailer, specifically about New York City, and mainly how this is Marvel's rendition of New York City. So again, that has to go with the Daily Bugle and the Feast Shelter that we can see in New York City. However, in the second shot of the trailer where we see New York City, the first shot was with the New York waterfront, which looks gorgeous. The second shot, however, where we see birds flying in the sky and the great architecture of all the buildings in the city, there is one specific building that really gets me excited about what this could actually refer to in the bigger scope of this universe and who it could refer to as a specific superhero, and I want to have Darius explain that, so go ahead, dude.
Okay, so in the second shot of New York that you get in the trailer, there is if you look closely, there is a specific type of building that you see, and if you know your Marvel Comics well, then you can recognize it as the Sanctum Sanctorum, home to Doctor Strange, which is a really cool thing. Because it sort of implies that Doctor Strange does exist in this game's universe. Now, there's a very small chance that they'll even acknowledge it, but, you know, if this is true, you know, that shows that there are other superheroes in this universe. A little while ago, I was talking about how, you know, it would be cool if this game will tie into the Avengers project. But seeing the Sanctum Sanctorum in the background makes me think that, you know, obviously I never thought that it would connect it, but obviously seeing the Sanctum Sanctorum, it sort of implies that obviously Doctor Strange does exist, even though they won't acknowledge it, which means, you know, they could other superheroes could be brought in. You know, some others I can think of. I would like to see like characters like Daredevil, because obviously Kingpin is as much of a Daredevil villain as he is a Spider-Man villain. Maybe Iron Man or Captain America or some other heroes. You know, that would be cool. You know, this specific Easter egg sort of implies that we could see some other heroes. Maybe not even in this game, but maybe in future Spider-Man games set in this same universe.
Just like Darius said, everybody, he brought up extremely great points. Since this building looks very identical to the one and only Sanctum Sanctorum, the home of the Sorcerer Supreme, Doctor Strange himself, hopefully, if this does turn out to be the Sanctum Sanctorum, there could be lots and lots and lots of other references to other superheroes like you've just brought up. Daredevil, maybe the Fantastic Four, maybe Punisher, There's lots of options here, and if this does mean that Spider-Man PS4 and the Avengers Project are in fact connected in some way, that would be crazy. Again, we don't know for sure if that is the case, but hopefully it does turn out to be true.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. I mean, characters like the Fantastic Four, I don't think it's going to happen because obviously Fox owned the Fantastic Four, and they wouldn't do that in a game. I mean, just look at Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I mean, the X-Men and Fantastic Four were nowhere to be found in that game because of the whole rights issue thing with the movies. But, you know, any other hero I think would be really cool to see.
Definitely well said, Darius. Hopefully, just being optimistic here, hopefully we get some other references to other superheroes in the game, but still just this one reference of what looks like to be the Sanctum Sanctorum is just very, very cool, and I can't wait to see what other type of Easter eggs Insomniac will sprinkle throughout New York City, specifically Marvel's intake on New York City. Now going back to another awesome Spider-Man PS4 fan, which you heard earlier in the video, everybody, is the one and only Cable Sam, and he actually pointed out this specific Easter egg to me, which I never would have noticed without his awesome help, and it actually could reference Venom, even though Insomniac Games did confirm that Venom is not in Spider-Man PS4. There is a one sign in Grand Central Station when Spider-Man is fighting these inner demons, and it really showcases an awesome part of this wider scope of the actual corporation that is going to be Oscorp Industries in the game. So go ahead, Cable Sam, tell them what you found.
When you see the sequence where Spider-Man make a web strike to an inner demon, you can see behind the inner demon two small billboards, electric billboard, where it says Symbiosis Technology in Oscorp or something like that. Does this mean we will see Venom in the game or a reference to him in some way?
And just like Cable Sam said, everybody, hopefully this one specific Oscorp reference may in fact reference the entire Spider-Man PS4 universe as a whole that can actually infer to wider characters, maybe that of Venom, even though he's not in the game. Maybe it could hopefully refer to the possible sequels that we are going to get that could have Venom as one of the villains in the game, but we shall wait and see what the future holds for us.
Venom is can be related very good to Mr. Negative. I saw your video about it, and you said that Mr. Negative touches Eddie Brock and changes the Venom cells into anti-Venom, and I think that Eddie Brock is some stage of recovering from cancer. If I am not wrong, maybe can we see a Venom in the second game?
Absolutely, just like Cable Sam said, the whole storyline with Mr. Negative heavily connects to Venom and Eddie Brock because of how Mr. Negative actually turns Eddie Brock into anti-Venom. And since, again, Spider-Man has been Spider-Man for 8 years, he's 23 years old, he has a job as a scientist, maybe that means that Peter has already fought Venom multiple times, and Eddie Brock may have cancer in this universe. We have no idea, and maybe even though Venom and the symbiote as a whole are confirmed to not be in this game, maybe we can see Eddie Brock just as Eddie Brock. Maybe he won't even turn into Venom. Maybe we can see how, if he is in the game, maybe Peter Parker and him are still, enemies, or maybe they are friends. I have no idea. But if they can, in fact, connect that one specific storyline in the game, that would be very, very exciting for all the players playing the game. Just to point out two little Easter eggs that I noticed myself, Spice Squad, is actually this scene right here in the Inner Demons fighting Spider-Man in Grand Central Station. You actually see standard Inner Demon thugs fighting Spider-Man, and they actually are using Mr. Negative's powers with their own hands. They actually have Mr. Negative's energy embedded into their own cells and using it to try and fight Spider-Man, and that's really cool, and that gives us an insight into what the full capabilities of the enemies that we will fight are in the game. And another small Easter egg that I want to point out, everybody, is actually the door right here where Mary Jane is about to be shot by this one Inner Demon, and we see on the door it says Roseman's, which obviously just refers to Marvel's executive creative director from Marvel Games, Bill Roseman. He's an awesome guy, and it's really cool to see his name be recognized in the game. So moving on to the apartment shot, everybody, which is the one scene that everyone is obviously freaking out about, and this is the most Easter egg filled shot of the entire trailer. And right now I am talking to the one and only Frank the Savage. He's an awesome Spider-Man fan overall. He's super excited for Spider-Man PS4, and he's just a really awesome guy overall. He's been with me since 500 subscribers, and the Spidey Squad wouldn't be the same without him, and he knows something very interesting about Peter Parker's scientist job in the left-hand corner of this one shot. So go ahead and introduce yourself, Frank.
Hi, guys. It's your boy, Frank the Savage. And thank you so much for having me, Evan. So what I found out is when they cut to that shot of Peter in his apartment, I see a box filled with a bunch of molecule diagrams and other scientist equipment. So my theory is maybe Peter's like a geneticist. Maybe that's how he meets Yuri Watanabe in the NYPD.
Definitely, there are so many options that could happen with just this one little speck of Easter egg filled box equipment that Peter has in his apartment, because just like Frank said, sometimes if you are a scientist and you are 23 years old and you're trying to find a job, there are sometimes applications and, you know, job openings for the NYPD, and specifically kind of referencing the Flash from the CW show. He's like a geneticist, he's like a forensic scientist. Maybe that could happen for Peter Parker as well. And also what we see here with tons of the molecule stuff, and you see like some cables and stuff that maybe could be up for using as upgrades to upgrade Spider-Man's Spider-Man suit, and just really interesting stuff there from Peter Parker's college days as well that could also maybe refer to maybe the future of Peter becoming a teacher. But since in this game he is in fact a scientist, that's just very intriguing to see how far they're going to take that part of Peter Parker's story in the game. And Frank brought up great points as well. So moving on to our next guest, everybody, is the one and only Benjamin Fritz. He has been around for so long, ever since like less than 500 subscribers, I would say, on my channel. He's been a really awesome guy, supporting me and the Spidey Squad throughout our entire time on YouTube. And he is a huge Spider-Man fan and Spider-Man PS4 fan overall. And we are, again, going to talk about the apartment scene in the trailer. So introduce yourself, dude.
Hi, I'm Benjamin.
So the main thing that we want to talk about in this one shot of Peter Parker in his apartment is actually the pictures that we see on his table. And clearly what we see here looks like very known relatives and friends of Peter Parker in these pictures, and I'll let Benjamin go over them.
The first one is Uncle Ben and Aunt May. There's a couple of kids, which I assume is MJ, Peter, and Harry, because I don't think Peter wears a shirt, a white shirt. He doesn't feel like he's live.
Definitely well said, Benjamin. I agree with everything he said. So the two pictures that we see here are definitely known to be Peter's friends and family members. So on the left, like just Benjamin said, is Aunt May and Uncle Ben. Clearly we see Aunt May in her very vibrant hair, and then we also see a guy with white hair, which definitely looks like to be Uncle Ben. And on the right side, we see this picture with three individuals, and it looks like one of them is wearing glasses, and I do believe that is actually Peter. And of course, we also see a redhead girl who is Mary Jane, and another guy, which most likely is Harry Osborn. And again, since Norman Osborn is running for mayor in the game, maybe we can get some more Harry Osborn dynamics in the game story. Maybe Peter and Harry will have to talk, and maybe Norman might be in danger, and Harry might also be in danger, and Spider-Man has to try and save both of them or something. That'd be very cool to see in the game. And clearly, if we are getting this very, very huge story of Norman Osborn trying to re-elect himself as mayor, and then Mr. Negative and all of his men are destroying what looks like to be that Norman Osborn press conference, maybe Harry is there in the crowd, and Spider-Man will have to save Harry. And who knows, maybe this story dynamic with Harry Osborn and Spider-Man may be that same way in regards to the Raimi movies, where Harry Osborn had a grudge against Spider-Man for killing his dad, but still Norman Osborn is alive in this game, and Harry may in fact have a role in the story. And I'm just really excited to see if we get some Harry Osborn in the game story. And Benjamin brought up really great parts about the pictures in this one shot of the scene in the trailer. So now moving on to my next guest, everybody, is the one and only Andrexman. If you guys don't know him, he is an incredibly awesome graphic designer who has helped me out on tons of awesome thumbnails for Radioactive Replay, specifically the Spider-Man 3 Radioactive Replay. He's an incredibly awesome guy overall, and I'm super happy that he could be part of this collaboration.
Hey, what's up, guys? First of all, I'd like to thank Ivan for having me on his channel. It's a real pleasure, dude.
Thank you so much, man. It's super honorable to have you, and I couldn't be happy to do this specific Easter egg breakdown with anyone else, because this specific part is the apartment, which is the main part of the trailer, which is filled with tons of Easter eggs. You already heard a couple of other people talk about the pictures and the science equipment, but now we're of course going to talk about the two main posters that are on Peter's walls in his apartment, specifically the one on the left right here, which is the wrestling poster, which has to go back to his old classic days as a teenage Spider-Man. And of course he is in the good old human spider, just the spider wrestling costume, about to fight Crusher Hogan, which is really, really cool that Insomniac is going that far back into comic book history with Spider-Man's background as a wrestler.
To me, the interesting part lies in what's under the picture. If you look closely, you can see the date, Wednesday, August 11, 2010. And as we all know, Peter was 15 when he gained his powers. Therefore, we can assume that Peter was born in 1995. And just a fun fact, you know what else was born in 1995? Insomniac's name. Even though Insomniac was founded in 1994, they changed their name to Insomniac Games a year later. So that's a fun detail that Insomniac put in there. I don't know if it was on purpose, but it's fun to think about.
It's very cool that they're going into that much detail in regards to their personal connection with this character, as well as their own connection as the company overall from Insomniac's other games that they've made and just how far they've come as a game developer, which is really cool to see in this one tiny Easter egg. And of course, the August 11th, 2010 date could also refer to a specific date in which the game could release. Any thoughts on this, Indrexman?
Insomniac has said that Peter has been Spider-Man for 8 years. So if you add 8 years to the dates in the poster, you get August 11th, 2018. And I do suspect that Insomniac very thoroughly telling us the release date. It's awesome, right? And it doesn't end there. I made some more research, and I found out that on August 11, 2018, there will be an eclipse. And you know what's related to eclipse? The moon. And you know what Insomniac's logo is? The moon. You probably think I'm a bit stupid, but I don't know, it's just a lot of coincidence.
Exactly. That's so crazy that all that lines up so perfectly for that one specific date in 2010, and then if the game in fact does release in 2018, that would be really crazy for August 11th, 2018 specifically. And now moving on to the part on the right side of the room is actually the calendar, everybody, which a lot of you guys are going crazy about, is that is when the game could possibly release. It's really hard to read, but of course, as you see, there's one specific spot that is circled that is like in the middle of October, and people are saying that could be the possible release date in the middle of October for Spider-Man PS4. And again, even though the head of Sony Interactive Entertainment, Sean Layden, has said that all of Sony's games will come out within the first half of 2018, we see specifically with God of War and Detroit Become Human that they're coming out like spring or early 2018, and Spider-Man is just still simply 2018. So I think that might go towards the fact that the game might in fact come out within the fall of 2018 instead of the spring of 2018, but we'll just wait and see. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this, Indrexman?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, the day that has a circle on it is October 14. Again, Insomniac hinting us at the release date. Who knows? One can only hope.
Absolutely. We've just got to keep our fingers crossed, hope for the best. Again, hashtag Insomniac we trust. And I really think that even if the game does come out in October or late 2018, from what we've seen so far with this trailer and all the other stuff that they're trying to improve with the game, that we're just going to keep getting more great stuff from them. And of course, the longer they take to work on the game, the better the final product will be. And I'm just really excited to see what is going to happen. And hopefully, even if the game does in fact come out late 2018, hopefully we still have PlayStation Experience to look forward to. And hopefully there, we will get our answer for what the exact release date will be.
Exactly, yeah. And I'm super excited that Insomniac is taking so much time to make this game. It just shows almost how much effort they're putting into it. And I just think we'll have the ultimate Spider-Man experience, finally.
Exactly. It's about time that we get back to the great Spider-Man experiences that we've known from the great PS2 era of Spider-Man games. And this definitely seems like to be a running contender. And just kind of bring up one last Easter egg within this apartment, guys, is the camera. On the very bottom of the screen, you see like this cabinet of all these books and everything. And of course, you see this camera. Now, it could just be a camera that Peter may use for whatever reason, but it also could refer to maybe Peter did in fact work at the Daily Bugle before he was a scientist, since we now know Mary Jane is working at the Daily Bugle. Maybe Peter in fact did work at the Daily Bugle before he was a scientist, and that camera kind of would further that point. But still, it doesn't really have anything like to relate it to the Daily Bugle, but it would be cool if that was Peter's camera when he did work at the Daily Bugle. Any thoughts on this, Indrexman?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It might be a callback to Peter's first job as he graduated in high school, or he helped to pay college. That can be how he met Mary Jane. As Insomniac has said, they're close friends, so they may not be in a relationship, so that may be how they met.
Definitely, and I can't wait to see how this whole unique story that they're going with, where Peter's a scientist and MJ is a reporter. That's really exciting for me, actually, since we do in fact get to play as MJ and maybe do some investigative work at the Daily Bugle, or for the Daily Bugle, I should say. And I'm really interested to see where this is going. And I think this brings an end to my one collaboration with Indrexman. I've been so honored to have him on, and it's been quite overdue that we actually do a collaboration at some time. Just really happy that we could talk about these specific Easter eggs in Peter Parker's apartment. Any last words, Indrexman?
Thank you so much, man. It was super fun, and I hope we do one in the future.
Just some final words, guys. Fellow Spidey Squad member Legit MHX already did a whole video on his channel talking about the Easter eggs that he found in the Spider-Man PS4 PGW trailer, and if I missed any, please let me know. And I'm just very happy I could collaborate with all these awesome guys, and I hope to do more videos with them in the future. And anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Stay spectacular, Spidey fans. Peace out.